Star Wars Dark Forces Remastered is a boomer shooter originally released in 1995 developed by LucasArts. It's a game that's been on my radar for a while now. I love Doom and I love non-Disney Star Wars, so this should be right up my alley. So after 30 years, does it still hold up, or should we chuck it into the Sarlacc pit? Let's find out. You play as Kyle Katarn, a former Empire officer turned mercenary. The game starts off with Kyle stealing the Death Star plans, basically doing the plot of Rogue One by himself in 10 minutes. The main plot revolves around Kyle uncovering and putting a stop to the Dark Trooper project, which is just Terminator stormtroopers, which is as terrifying as they sound. Luckily, Gus Fring and his mustache isn't involved in this one. The missions take place over classic Star Wars environments like Imperial bases, spaceships, and alien planets. Story is mostly told through text at the start of each mission. It's normally your handler Jan giving you a goal and some background of the area you're heading into. There is enough personality in the text to make Jan likeable. It wasn't boring to read through in my opinion. Occasionally there are cutscenes that have voice acting. These are fairly rare though. They are well animated and shot well considering how old they are. They sometimes even have cameos from characters from the films. Voice acting is pretty good across the board. Darth Vader isn't voiced by James Earl Jones, but it's a really good impression of him. Mon Mothma sounds like she belongs in a retirement home, which is strange after just watching Andor. The game has a gritty tone like the original trilogy. It takes itself quite seriously compared to newer Star Wars. Early on you will go to a planet that's just been attacked by the Empire, and you can find destroyed buildings and corpses littered throughout. It really helps the Empire feel like an actual threat and sets the stakes of what will happen if Kyle fails. It's nice to have a Star Wars game where you don't play as a Jedi using a lightsaber. The actual plot is okay, nothing special, not really anything to spoil. It feels very much just like a reason for the gameplay to happen. The Empire must be stopped Kyle, then he single-handedly takes on hundreds of stormtroopers, blows up at least 3 bases, kills a Kell Dragon with his bare hands and bitch slaps Boba Fett. Kyle is like the motherfucking Chuck Norris of the Star Wars universe. Then the game ends with Darth Vader saying the Force is strong with this one, and that's it. Luckily Kyle appears in more games in this era, so hopefully they can add more to his story. As of this game, it's pretty bare bones, so I wouldn't buy this game for the story, but how about the gameplay? Going into this I hear it's a Doom clone, and yeah, it's very similar. Fast-paced FPS action where you hunt down different keys in a maze-like area. But unlike in Doom, you can look up and down, you can crouch, and you can jump, which changes the feel a bit. The weapons are also quite different to Doom's. Kyle has his fist, which is the exact same as in Doom. You'll probably use this one time. Then there's the iconic Stormtrooper's rifle, the gun I use for most of my playthrough. It has a very satisfying sound when it's fired. Grenades are replaced with thermal detonators, which Kyle can carry 50 of. 50. They barely go very far, he throws them like a wet blanket, so I didn't use them as often as I wanted to. Then there's the heavy weapons like the mortar gun and the assault cannon, which are high damaging but the ammo is harder to find. The game has a smaller variety of enemies compared to Doom. For the Empire, there's obviously Stormtroopers, the most common enemy. They have low health but can be dangerous in high numbers. Then there's the Imperial officers and commandos, who feel like they're just reskinned Stormtroopers. The toughest Imperial enemies are the Dark Troopers. They come in 3 different phases. Phase 1 looks just like a Terminator, whilst Phase 2 and 3 start looking like Warhammer Knights. These are quite rare, they act like bosses in early missions. They have a lot of health and can damage you quickly if you're not careful. Then there's the droids, they come in 3 different types. They all act the same for the most part. They all fly in the air and shoot at you when they see you. Probe ones are the most common, they're the ones from the start of Empire Strikes Back. Then there's the ones I call Dr. Ball because of Robot Chicken, they're from A New Hope. Lastly, the most annoying ones is the training droids. They look like the things Luke trains with on the Millennium Falcon. They're super tiny and zip around the place, making them hard to hit. Kyle doesn't only massacre Imperials, he also kills the locals. Like the Gamorrean guards, the pig guys from Jabba Palace, they can hit you with their axes, so just stay away from them. I always felt bad for killing them, they're just trying to do their job. Then there are the ones who I thought were Bosk until there were more of them. Like, do all the Bosk's species dress the same as him? He was always my favourite bounty hunter from that scene in Empire. They use a concussion rifle, which can be claimed for yourself. It fires an explosive at your feet. Lastly is the most annoying enemy in the game, these freaks with 3 eyes. They should be playing pitcher and baseball, they have one hell of a throw on them. They chuck thermal detonators at you with incredible aim from so far away. If there's a group of them, you're basically fucked. There are also some level-based enemies like turrets on ceilings. In sewers or dirty places, the creature from the trash compactor scenes can poke his head out to attack you. In Imperial bases, you can shoot mouse droids for fun. In the last level, a crane arm attacks you just because. The levels themselves are good for the most part. They can be quite maze-like towards the end. You'll be given a goal before the start of the mission. It's not just about getting to the end of the area. You'll sometimes have to place explosives around the base and go back to the landing area. I found if you just run around and interact with stuff, you should be fine. There was way more of a focus on puzzle solving compared to Doom. There's not a crazy amount of it or anything, just a couple of missions will require you to solve a simple puzzle to proceed. Like this one to do with a safe stumped me for a while. You have to figure out what buttons to press to open the centre door. There's lots of secrets and hidden rooms to find which can have extra resources like Doom. Some levels can be very confusing to navigate without the map. Luckily, you can have the map open whilst you are playing. It's not very detailed, but it still can be useful. If it told you where the landing area was on the map, that would have been ideal. Levels normally loop back on themselves or have shortcuts open after you complete the objective to save you from backtracking too much, which is lovely. Something that I found annoying and would be easy to fix is whenever you hit a button, it's on a timer for some reason. So say you hit a button that opens a door, you have a few seconds to go through the door before it closes. This can be annoying, especially when a door opens in a different room and you don't notice. You might look around to see what the button did, and the door it opened could be closed by the time you get to it, leading you to thinking the button does nothing. Like, why can't the door just stay open? What does the timer add? Platforming can also be frustrating. It's hard to judge your jumps in first person. It's also hard to tell if you should be sprinting or not when making the jump. Sometimes you're not even supposed to jump, just sprint across the gaps, as jumping will lead to you overshooting it. The worst part for me was in this trash compactor bit. All the platforms are moving up and down. So is the roof, which can crush you if you don't time it right. Also, it's dark, so you have to use a light which can drain your battery, so you'll be screwed if you run out. Just not a fun part for me. Levels are fair and fun for the most part. It's always fun to turn on auto sprint and strafe around the area shooting things. This doesn't apply to my most hated level, Jabba's ship. So after pissing off the Empire, they set a bounty on Cal's head. This is where Jabba's ship uses a tractor beam to capture Cal's ship with him and Jan aboard. This is where Cal is stripped of all his weapons and thrown into a pit with a Kel dragon, a big enemy with lots of health and can kill him with about 5 hits. You have to kill him with your fists. This can be incredibly annoying as it takes ages. You're going to have to circle him if you don't want to get hit. This wouldn't be too bad on its own, but the rest of the level is absolutely scattered with landmines. They're hidden behind doors and health items around corners. You can't just shoot them to set them off. You either have to run up, trigger them and run back hoping they don't hit you, or throw a thermal detonator at them, which has to land basically on them for it to count, which sucks because Cal can't throw them very far. Like, it would be so much easier if you could just shoot them. So if you run out of lives from the mines, you'll have to fight the dragon with your bare hands again. It's a very frustrating level. The only part I liked is this paint on the wall where Jabba and his friends are on. Boba Fett is on there. Like, is he that close to Jabba? Does he spend most of his time chilling next to Jabba? I played the recent remaster of this game, so the game looks pretty good. The game uses sprites for enemies and objects but still look charming to me. Environments look and feel very Star Warsy. They clearly watched the films and tried to incorporate some scenes into the game, like the white hallways from the intro of A New Hope, or the light tiles and consoles from the Death Star used in Imperial bases. They have been remastered but still have that retro charm. The skybox can look weird though. It's fine when you're not moving, but when you start to move, something looks off. You can switch back to the original graphics in the option menu to see how things have changed, which I'm always a fan of. Sound effects are lifted straight out of the film, so every gun and shit feels authentic. They have renditions of John Williams scores, which are great. They could have fully redone them for the remaster, but they still sound a bit retro, which I like. It's very charming. Overall, I had a really rad time with Dark Forces. Star Wars mixed with Doom, how could I not like it? If that sounds appealing to you, then you should definitely give it a go. It may seem a bit dated at parts, the story isn't the best, but the gameplay is fun and challenging enough for at least one playthrough. Time to rank it. The Forces tell me to place Dark Forces at number 15. It had a more enjoyable FPS action throughout compared to Stranger's Wrath, which I found frustrating at points. I also think the retro graphics of Dark Forces appeals to me more. I can't put above Sea of Stars, which had a better story, a more appealing art style, and more depth in the combat for me. So yeah, number 15, very respectable for a 30-year-old game. I'm now off to spend my credits at the Darth Maul. What a shit pun.